The 4th of July had always been loud in Maple Hollow, a town that seemed to live only for its annual fireworks show. For decades, families spread blankets on the wide field by the riverbank. Kids darted around with sparklers, and grandparents leaned back in lawn chairs, their faces flickering with bursts of red, white, and blue. The town was proud of its tradition, and proud of the stories that came with it. But not every story was told around picnic tables. Some lived only in whispers, shared by teenagers in parking lots or old drunks leaning against bar stools after midnight. They said the river field was cursed, and that if you strayed too close to the woods during the finale, you might meet the Firework Man. The legend was older than most could remember, about a soldier who'd marched in the town's Independence Day parade a lifetime ago. Something went wrong that year. An accident, a firework misfired, a terrible explosion. The stories disagreed on the details, but they all ended the same. The soldier burned alive while the crowd kept cheering, mistaking his screams for part of the celebration. Ever since, he was said to wander the tree line in his scorched uniform, carrying a burnt flag, searching for those foolish enough to cross into his shadows. Of course, most people laughed it off. Folklore to scare kids. But some never laughed, and those were the ones who swore they'd seen him. On the 4th of July in 2011, 5 teenagers decided to test the legend. They were restless, drunk on cheap beer, and eager to prove themselves braver than the rest. The field was packed with families waiting for the finale. The teens slipped away, climbing the hill and slipping into the tree line, the popping of sparklers behind them fading into the crackle of insects. It was darker under the trees, unnaturally so. The fireworks, which should have painted the woods in flashes of light, seemed muted here, muffled as if the sound couldn't fully cross the threshold. The deeper they went, the quieter it became, until the only sound was the crunch of leaves under their sneakers. "Where's your Firework Man now?" one boy joked, though his voice cracked slightly. Another laughed, too loudly, as if trying to prove she wasn't afraid. Then came the smell. Acrid, bitter, like burned wood mixed with sulfur. A faint line of blackened footprints appeared on the ground, leading deeper into the forest. They followed, half mocking, half shaken. The footprints were seared into the earth itself, not mud or ash, but charred impressions that seemed to pulse faintly with heat. A sound echoed ahead of them. Not fireworks, not insects. A hiss, followed by the faint fizz of something igniting. A spark flared in the darkness. A match. Then another. And standing between the trees was a figure. Tall, broad-shouldered, his face hidden in shadow, holding a burning sparkler that sputtered weakly in his hand. He stepped forward. His face came into view and one of the girls screamed. His skin looked melted, sagging in places, raw red and black as if frozen mid-burn. His eyes glowed faintly with reflected sparks. Draped over one arm was a ruined American flag, edges singed, stripes peeling. "They said it was an accident," he whispered, his voice broken and gravelly. The sparkler hissed and popped. It wasn't. The teens froze. The boy in front managed to choke out a laugh, but it died instantly when the man raised the flag. The fireworks from the field roared overhead, a finale of thunderous bursts, but none of it reached the forest. Here, the night pressed down, thick and silent. The man stepped closer, dragging the flag through the leaves. The smell of burning intensified. The girl screamed again, and the group bolted. Only one made it back. She stumbled into the field, sobbing, her clothes smelling of smoke, her friends nowhere behind her. When people asked what happened, she refused to speak. She left town soon after, and the others were never seen again. The legend spread quietly after that, whispered by parents to their children as a warning not to wander during the fireworks. But the Firework Man wasn't the only shadow tied to Maple Hollow's Independence Day. Some said he wasn't even the first. Long before that night in 2011, there was another story, told even more quietly. The kind of thing families didn't like admitting. It had to do with a house on the edge of town, the Parker place, where every 4th of July the family gathered on the porch to watch the fireworks. They were old-fashioned, the Parkers, the type to hang bunting on the railing and drink lemonade in tall, sweating glasses. But one summer, an odd thing happened. An empty rocking chair appeared on the porch. Nobody remembered bringing it there, but it sat neatly beside the others, a folded flag laid across the seat. At first, everyone assumed it was decoration, maybe a neighbor's attempt at a patriotic tribute. The fireworks started and nobody thought much of it, not until the chair began to rock on its own. Back and forth, back and forth, perfectly timed with the explosions in the sky. The Parkers laughed nervously, telling themselves it was just the wind, but one of the cousins swore she saw someone sitting in it just for a moment. A man in a WO2 uniform, face pale, eyes dark. He didn't smile, didn't wave, just sat rigidly staring at the family as the night lit up around him. The next morning, the chair was still there. When they tried to move it, they found scorch marks burned into the wood, like it had been struck by fire. Every year after, the same thing happened. No matter where the Parkers gathered, no matter if they locked their doors or moved the celebration to another house, the chair always appeared on the porch by sundown, rocking slowly, a folded flag across the seat. The Parkers stopped talking about it. Some skipped the holiday altogether, but the neighbors noticed. A few even claimed to see the soldier themselves, standing near the porch long after the fireworks ended, staring into the house with hollow eyes. 2 stories, 2 legends. And yet, as the years passed, people began to wonder if they weren't connected. Some claimed the Firework Man and the soldier in the chair were one and the same, appearing in different forms depending on who saw him. A restless spirit tied not to the forest or the porch, but to the celebration itself. Something drawn by fire, by explosions, by the loud joy of a country celebrating its freedom while he remained trapped in death. Others believed they were 2 different entities, bound by a common thread. Betrayal. The Firework Man forgotten and burned while the crowd cheered. The soldier in the chair left behind by comrades or family, still waiting for recognition that never came. But the most chilling theory was the one few dared to say aloud. That both figures were warnings. That Maple Hollow itself was cursed. And every 4th of July, the barrier between the living and the dead grew thin under the sound of fireworks. That the noise and light didn't just entertain the living, they summoned the forgotten, the betrayed, the burned. And maybe the fireworks weren't for celebration at all. Maybe they were offerings. Ask around town today, and you'll still hear the whispers. Some kids swear they've seen the blackened footprints at the edge of the woods. Some families lock their porches tight each July, praying the chair doesn't appear. A few even leave out folded flags, as if trying to appease whoever lingers. But no one dares speak of it too loudly. Because if you draw attention, if you invite the story in, maybe you'll be the next to smell smoke in the woods, or hear the creak of a chair when nobody is sitting there. And if you do, don't look too closely. Because on the 4th of July in Maple Hollow, not everyone watching the fireworks is alive.